today. It has been a little bit. We've been busy. I, in particular, have been busy with the U.S. election, but now that things have been settling down, we should be back in a normal routine. So, boys, how have you been?
A little salty since you implied that I wasn't as busy as you.
Well, I didn't mean to imply that, but
No, no, it's okay. We get it. Journalists work hard. Yeah,
no, no,
we know.
absolutely not. Just the busy time of year is over, so now it's partying all the time.
Well, let's face it. One's in journalism, the other two are in education. We've all got worthless, meaningless jobs.
That's true. Let's just get right to it. What have you guys been playing? Let's start with you, Cheston.
Well, I mean, obviously, the biggest thing to come out in the past few weeks. I'm not surprised you picked me because, I've been getting into those things that everybody's so excited about. Uh, Pikmin 3 Deluxe on the Switch.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's been very excited for this release. And I can confirm that it is still a pretty good Pikmin experience, but now it's on the Switch, which
Wow.
is pretty crazy if you ask me.
Well, so
Um,
all two people that bought Pikmin 3 on Switch this week are really hyped to hear you talk about it.
well, you know, it was the big release of the year.
Yeah.
Nothing else is coming. So I can understand why maybe some people who never played a Pikmin before are coming in. And I don't think there's ever been a better time to play a Pikmin game on the Switch,
Oh yeah.
or
I mean,
ever another time at all, in fact.
well, is it as
Um,
good as you remember it?
I have complicated memories about Pikmin 3, but honestly, I would say it's better than I remember it. I think being on the Switch is a really, I hate to use that phrase, perfect for Switch, but I think it's the right place for Pikmin, given the structure of the game with the short days. I think it's about 13 minutes for every individual day that you play. So it's good for a short pickup and play. It's good if you want to sit down for a little bit longer. I mean, it's still Pikmin 3, so it's got all those things going for it. So overall, I've been pretty satisfied, and honestly, it's pulled me away from just about everything else that I was getting into. But I mean, there's really not much to say about it. I do think of the Wii U ports that they've brought to Switch, this is one of the top. This is at the
this
top of
this is
that
one
list.
of them.
This is one. Well, I would say, like, I don't know, in terms of features, like I think Mario Kart is probably their most fully featured port because it, added all kinds of characters. It fixed the battle mode that people didn't like. It added a lot. And this one, it hasn't been really ballyhooed a bunch, but it did add things like co-op, which I've been wanting for 15 years and didn't even realize was in the game until I picked it up. It's added all the DLC, which I haven't really gotten into yet, but that's not really new. It's just packed in. And then they did add some new prologue and epilogue chapters where you play as Olimar and Louis, and you get their, you know, side of the story. And I've heard those are basically just more mission mode additions. But it's still it's still pretty nice. And they also added some difficulty settings that weren't there before, including a difficulty that makes the game actually challenging. I did not pick that one because you can't pick it by default. But I'm honestly thinking about starting it up again after I finish my first playthrough
Well, look at
because
you.
it's just been a very nice, pleasant thing to pop in, 20 minutes or whatever before I have to get ready and get on with my day. So I've
Well,
been pretty pleased.
I kind of agree with your point about something being like perfect for a Switch. I think stuff that's like short burst little games that you can get what
Yeah,
you want to get done in like 15, 20 minutes are
yeah.
perfect for it.
And if you want to play longer, it's
Yeah.
also good for that. So it's got all those things, but I think that's really the if you play the Switch portably, that's where things are at their best when they can be played in short chunks or long chunks, and it's not something like oh gosh, um, hmm, throw me a Switch game that's
Deadly
maybe
premonition.
damn it, I knew you were gonna throw me that one. Yeah, it's not really like a pick up and play. Like, hey, I'm gonna play Deadly Premonition for 10 minutes
Yeah.
and get my kicks in. Nobody's ever gonna say that. It's not the way the platform is
Right.
designed to be played.
No, but you can play like a Smash Brothers or an Animal Crossing for 10 minutes and move on. I don't. I personally, I don't understand people who play Animal Crossing for more than like 20 minutes at a time. But that's neither here nor there.
There will be time to talk about Animal Crossing in the future.
I'm sure it's here to stay. It sold a bajillion units this year. So was there anything else you've been playing?
Yeah, I wasn't going to talk about this because I was going to save it for a few weeks from now, but I'll go ahead because it's kind of interesting. It touches on something we talked about a few weeks ago. I've been playing Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which is a game I had played earlier in the year, but stopped because it came out right around when things shut down. And when things shut down, that really took a dent out of my ability to play games like Ori. And so I've been coming back to it because it was quite delightful and I wanted to see it through to the end. But due to some personal reasons, which I'm not going to go into, haven't been able to really access my Xbox as of late. I tried out the Xbox in-home streaming application to see how that goes.
Yeah, how'd it go?
Well, I have pretty lousy internet. I didn't notice much latency, much, and Ori is a game where you would notice very severe latency because it's very timing based.
Sure.
So I didn't notice anything crazy. The only issue I really had was because my internet is bad, occasionally I would have drops. But that really I do think is due to my internet, and I do have really bad internet.
Hmm.
Um, and then the other thing is there's some little sound issues that I'm not really sure I understand why they're popping up. I haven't looked into it too much, but I also wonder if that might be due to my connection stability. But for the most part, I mean, I didn't feel like I was losing out on much other than I wasn't playing on the TV I usually play on, which is a 4K TV that takes advantage of Ori's very nice looking graphics and HDR effects. But other than that, I really didn't notice any downsides. So it was a neat little tech experiment. Not probably something I would do very often,
But you know
but
you can do it.
given my current circumstances, it's nice that I can still access it, even though I can't actually access my Xbox itself.
Are you playing like on your phone?
You can Bluetooth any Xbox controller to a tablet.
Okay.
So it's you're using the same controller, you're just using it on a smaller screen.
Okay. Because I was like, you're using a touchscreen for a platformer? Sounds
Oh no.
awful.
No, I would not play. If that was my only option, I would not be playing it. I would be like, all right, I'll wait until a week or so when I can get back to my Xbox and then I'll finish it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that it worked well. I have not tried any of that stuff myself, but it's nice to know I can if I ever choose to. If I ever go
Yeah, and
insane.
this is not xCloud. This is different. So
Yeah.
it is not something that, you have to have a certain kind of device. It should work on Android or iOS. So that's welcome because I have Apple devices and would not be able to
What a
use
loser.
xCloud. Yeah, well, hey, listen, work gives me these things and I just take them. So,
Fair enough.
and really quick, I did clear Hades since we last talked.
Oh, how many
Congratulations.
times?
Well, once, because after I cleared it the first time, I have gone back and played a little, but I didn't, once I cleared it once, I didn't have the urge to continue to play it over and over and over like I was before I cleared it.
Yeah.
But it was pretty satisfying. I'm sure you had a similar experience, Setzer, when you played it, where you were in the run where you were gonna win and you just knew it. You knew it like a few rooms in. You just had that feeling based on the build you were able to make for yourself. I was like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna make it to the end this time, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna take him out because I reached Hades with all three Death Defiances left, and I had an ability with the bow where when I shot something, it would lock on to the enemy, and then if I used my special, all of those individual arrows that shoot would all home to the enemy. So it was just like it was a brutal combination, and I ended up just shredding through the last boss and getting my first clear. So that was a lot of fun. Really big fan of that game.
See, it's funny you say that because I had the opposite experience. I went in on the run that I beat it the first time. I went in with a weapon that I hate, the gun, just because it had the darkness buff, and I was just
Mm-hmm.
trying to level up.
Mm-hmm.
And the first boon I got was a legendary boon from Poseidon that's like a bonus to catching fish, so totally
Mm.
irrelevant to combat.
Hmm.
And up until the very, very end, right up to the end of the third stage, I got nothing impressive, nothing I really liked, and then I got a Daedalus hammer that turned my special attack into like a rocket launcher,
Hmm.
and it just absolutely, destroys everything in the room. It just sets off a chain reaction of explosions.
Was that the
And
one where it splits your special into 3 or 4 or 5 volleys?
no, it's just like one rocket, like a
Oh.
bazooka, basically.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And it does a ton of damage. And that's when I started to think, like, okay, maybe this will be the run, right?
Hmm.
But I had to get all the way to Theseus the third
Yeah,
boss, before I
that's true.
realized that.
Yeah, you can never. I guess that's a fair point because I've had several runs of like, oh, this is great, and then I get to the third boss, and I'm like, nope, nope, the third boss totally took me out. There's no way I have enough to get through
Yep,
it.
yeah,
But this
that was
time, when I had
generally.
that bow, when I got through that boss with all 3 Death Divines still intact, I was like, okay, I really can't see myself burning 4 lives on this last area, even though some of the poison effects can be a bit of a pain. I just didn't see it happening.
Hmm.
But that was a really great experience. I've played a few runs since, and I haven't had any success, but I've gotten pretty close each time. So I'm looking forward to checking in on that every so often. But I definitely a highlight of the year for me.
Hmm. Yeah, like I said, roguelite done right.
Well, Setzer, since you were talking about Hades, anything else you've been playing, or you want to talk more about Hades?
Well, I actually haven't played many video games at all since we've been on hiatus, because I had to RMA some defective PC parts, which took about 3 weeks. So I didn't have a PC to play games on. I did play a little bit of P5R. I'm still on Kamoshida, the first dungeon, but it hasn't gotten very divergent from P5 just yet, so I can't
Right.
really comment on it too much.
The story doesn't change a lot early on, but the dungeon layout is pretty different from the original. But until much later, the story stays kind of samey with slightly better localization. Like they touch up some stuff, but
Yeah, I've definitely noticed some tweaks here and there that I appreciate, but I'm waiting for it to, you know, really jump out at me.
it's a long burn. There are plenty of new things, and I think it is worthy of the full price tag once you get there. But it is a deep dive, so it'll be a little bit before you get to that stuff.
Yeah, so I've been, chipping away at that. But once I got my PC back together again, I picked up Total War 2 just like I left it. I've been having a lot of fun playing, 50 plus turn wars between rats and the French. So it's the opposite of Pikmin 3, where this is not a game that you can just play for 15 minutes. This is a game where you have to sit down, you know, crack your knuckles, and say, all right, the next 3 hours, I'm going to be a rat man
Oh
conquering the
yeah,
world.
yeah. RTSs require your time and dedication. Okay, so that's it.
Yeah, have you been playing anything interesting lately?
I have been playing Cold Steel still.
Oh,
I'm
Here we go.
I'm on Cold Steel 4. I'm about at
Hmm.
the end of it. So I'm almost done with my little adventure, but this is the last one. What I think is interesting about it is that each set of games takes place on a different continent. So like the Trails in the Sky games take place on one, fan translated games take place on one, and then the Cold Steel takes place on a different one. And so in these last games, the Cold Steel 4, it brings kind of everybody together. So you have this giant cast of characters that you kind of know everybody's backstory. So like in typical RPG, you'll have like one or two characters that you don't know anything about, even though they're in your party the whole game. Like when I
Hmm.
think of FF6, I think of Gao. Like, what do you know about him other than like he likes meat and
He's a
he's
feral child.
a feral child? That's
Hmm.
I guess
Hmm.
that's all you really need to know. But there's not much to him really. But with this game, I think I have I don't know, almost 20 playable characters right now, and I can tell you about each of their backstories, each of their motivations, things they've done. It's just interesting. Um, to put it in a layman's terms, I would say it's kind of like how the Marvel Cinematic Universe does it, where you have like your big, your end game movie where you have everybody, like everyone, an individual part working together towards something big, but you kind of know everybody's backstories going in, so it kind of makes it more interesting.
So it's kind of like Suikoden.
Yeah, yeah, it is. So I have enjoyed my trip, but it's about over. The other thing I've played about an hour or so of Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memories, which
Woohoo!
which is really
That's what the
fun.
people are here for. That
Yeah.
and Pikmin.
That mobile gotcha.
Here's a spoiler for Kingdom Hearts 3. The main character might not be alive. I don't know. It's not really stated. He's kind of like lost in a void somewhere. So the plot of Melody of Memories is that his girlfriend slash friend, I don't know if you can call her a girlfriend, it's a very strange franchise, is going back through his memories trying to figure out where he is. And so by doing this, you're like playing songs from all the Kingdom Hearts games. And it's done in like a world format. So like you start in Destiny Islands for Kingdom Hearts 1, you do a couple songs there, and then you advance like to Traverse Town and like you unlock the levels in order. So I'm guessing you play through songs from all the mainline games and then you get to the end of Kingdom Hearts 3 and then you beat it or something.
No, do you get to play the Traverse Town song?
You do.
Yes.
You do.
That's really not a rhythm game song though.
Well, you'd be surprised. Some of these don't feel like rhythm game songs, but they pull it off. Because like there was I was playing Simple and Clean because that's what they start you off on.
Mm.
Yep,
Mm.
that's the first one.
Start with the showstopper.
Well, they start with the showstopper, and and because it's playing the Kingdom Hearts 1 style, it's like showing the Kingdom Hearts 1 opening cutscene while you're doing your rhythm stuff. So it was kind of cool, but it had like this moment of Simple and Clean where like you chain two notes together and it totally synced up with the song. I was like, all right, it works. So it feels a lot like theatrism in some ways. Is how you like gain EXP and stuff. So I think it's great.
Yeah.
But
Would you classify any of these songs as a bop?
yeah, plenty of them. There are
Would you
all
say
sorts of.
Yeah.
they slap?
Any?
I
Yeah.
would say
Any?
they slap.
Any in particular that slap hard?
Well, I mean, I haven't got to any that slap hard unless you count like the Alice in Wonderland theme as one that does, which it doesn't
Well, I
really.
do. So, well,
Or Destiny
you
Islands,
got
like
me.
you're walking around the islands and hanging with Tidus all day. But I mean, I hear like later on, like there's boss battles. You can switch your team up like you could in Theatrism. So it seems like there's a bunch of stuff. There's like 140
So,
songs, so there's not
is
nothing
it
short for content.
like theatrism? Because I like theatrism quite a bit.
In some ways, I think it's a little It's a little different. Um,
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
it's Kingdom Hearts.
yeah. So yeah, one doesn't have the Final Fantasy music, but I think it's similar, but it plays a little different. Like there's like some jumping you have to do, so that's the one difference. But
Yep,
it's pretty
that's Kingdom Hearts,
simplistic.
all right.
Yeah,
Some jumping puzzles.
but I mean, it's pretty simplistic. I think if there's a demo like on Xbox, so you could download and try it for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm sure you
No,
would.
I've thought about it.
It's also on Switch, so
It is.
you could experience the fun for yourself.
Could play Kingdom Hearts music in my car.
Yes. Yes, and there's a story at some point. I don't know. I haven't seen anything that I don't
Yeah,
know.
I've heard in Kingdom Hearts tradition, it is story critical.
Yes, well, all side games are story critical. If you miss out
Curse
on
them.
one, you miss out on everything.
Curse them.
What a joke.
So, yeah, how dare you play the games they make? Woo, crazy.
they
Um,
oh man, they need to be stopped. They need to be
but
arrested.
but I mean, so far the story is just the voice actress of Kairi just telling you what happened to Kingdom Hearts 1. Like
Kyrie
so
from Digimon?
from
Digimon?
no, that's Kari. So I
Oh.
appreciate you trying to be funny, but I take Digimon very seriously.
Well,
As we
the
all
real
know.
zinger is that Kari's voice is in Kingdom Hearts.
It is.
So
I
that's
forget
like the
that.
ultimate. Uh-huh.
I forget. I think it's Chirifes or some wacky name like that.
Well, and for most people, what they'll remember is that if you don't remember the Kingdom Hearts story, which who does, when you play Kingdom Hearts 3, you have that 20-minute recap
It's true.
voiced that is narrated by Kari from Digimon.
Well, I haven't experienced like the other side games that this game will go into, but maybe this will be the perfect entry point to Kingdom Hearts because it just summarizes everything for you. So, so if you want to get ready for the next chapter in the exciting Kingdom Hearts saga,
I think
pump,
Kingdom Hearts is like a pool. The best way is just to jump right in
yeah,
and
well, you got
just
to start at one.
soak in the filth.
Yeah, agreed.
Let it consume you. Play every single game and see if you come out a sane person.
You won't. Also, this week, in case you haven't heard, two consoles came out. Or technically three, I suppose, but the Series X, Series S, and PlayStation 5 all launched. I am a fool, and I have both a Series X and a PlayStation 5. Last week, I had figured I would only be getting one, but I was like, all right, you know what? If I'm able to get one with Xbox All Access, I'll do it. Whatever.
And if you really
And
want to make a few listeners angry, you should explain how you ordered the Series X on launch day and got it like a day later.
yeah, I went to GameStop.com like at 10 o'clock on the launch day. I was like, I don't know, maybe they got something in stock, and they did. And so I just like, all right, well, I'm gonna sign up for all access, and it like
God, that makes it
immediately,
even worse because
and
people like camp out Twitter accounts for these things, and you just wandered into it.
yeah, and I was like, all right, I'll sign up for all access, which immediately should have like, I figured it would all sell out by the time I was done with my credit check or whatever. But sure enough, I got approved, and it's like, all right, here's your order confirmation, you're good to go. It's like, oh, sweet. So, so the Xbox that I ordered on a whim got here before the PS5. I actually tried to get, so whatever.
We talked off podcast a little bit, so I won't double over too many of those things because they're not interesting to anybody else. But since you have both, which controller feels better?
Well, my wife really does not like the PS5 controller. So,
Really?
yeah,
What does she
Really?
not like about it?
she says it's too big. It doesn't feel right in the hands.
Too
It's
big?
just too big. Doesn't quite feel comfortable.
Huh.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it's fine. Um,
Doesn't look that big. Is it big?
it is. It's very chunky. It's very hefty. You can feel its heft. I would say
Mm.
it's got more presence than the PS4 controller. Now, to be fair, I've not played Astro's Playroom, so I don't know all these fancy features. But I don't. I think it's a little overhyped by people, but it's still pretty good. So
How well you haven't played it? You
yeah, that's what I
haven't played any
said.
games that use those features, man.
I'm playing this as a controller because I've had people say like
How can
I've
you say it's
held
overhyped?
because heard people say they've held the controller and say it's like the best thing ever, like before
Oh
they even
well, I
play
mean,
it.
listen. Okay, that's
Well,
different.
that's
That's different.
BS.
Yeah. So I'm
That's
saying
just
just from a because like what I do is I play video games. So from a pure video game standpoint, it's fine. It's not like a world revolutionary thing. I'm sure like once I play games that take advantage of it, I might have a different opinion. But if you're like, I assume most third parties are just going to be bare bones basics. Like here's some Rumble, have fun, and for that it's fine. So I think it's good. The buttons feel a little more pleasant to press. I guess I don't know, but I still say I prefer the
mm,
Xbox One controller to
okay.
this.
The Xbox One or Series X controller?
It's the same thing.
Well, but we talk the Series X controller is heavier, right?
Series X controller is a little heavier. It's got a share button now, so so
Man,
which is the number one problem with the original Xbox controller. So I mean, it's basically the same thing. It just feels a little heftier.
okay. So it sounds like the Xbox controller better. Okay, all right. Next thing, which one looks better in your entertainment center?
Neither really.
Yeah,
um, the PlayStation 5 is gigantic.
yeah, it sure is.
It takes up a ton of space. We actually had to make new holes in our entertainment center to fit them in a place that they
God.
weren't at before. So that was fun, and they certainly will not fit vertically there. I feel like I'm certainly not alone in this. I think a lot of people are gonna take their consoles home and be like, "Oh shit, my whole setup is not
Oh
gonna
yeah.
work."
I've seen a
So,
lot of pictures of people like having to lean it diagonally,
well,
like
not a
which
problem
is
for me.
which is terrible if you have a disc console for the record, but if you're I guess if you're rocking discless, you could make that work.
Yes,
Not preferable. I I'll tell you, I think you sent me a picture of a horizontal, and it didn't look as bad as I thought.
It's
But
not
man, I
bad.
saw one in the store vertical. That thing is hideous vertical.
I
It
think
is
it's
just
designed.
unsightly.
Yeah, I think it's designed to look vertical. I think it looks better verticals. I think you're
Ah,
crazy.
gosh. Well, it's
I
just
think
so
it looks like
massive.
something out of 2009. It looks like something out of the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies.
Yeah, it does. It looks like
It
the
does.
2009 idea of the future.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just so massive. Like the display at the Walmart is just it's comical. So I would definitely be leaning it horizontal. And the Series X,
Series X is just
not
fat,
yeah, just real big. Yeah,
just
okay.
thick with two C's.
Gosh, so weird that for all those years we tried to make things smaller, and now we're just got these giant systems.
Well,
I know it's
hot air's
I
got to
know
go
heating.
somewhere.
Yeah, I know it's heating. I understand. It's
Well, they
just
apparently run really
man.
cool. So
Well, yes.
because of their giant, they made sure they don't want red rings again. So they made sure that won't happen.
All
Any
right. And
failures will be software related.
I have one more question.
Yes.
If you were having to choose which one you'd rather blow a big fat vape ring
Oh,
into,
I
which
saw
would you
that.
choose?
Oh, the Series X. That did you see that video where they blow smoke to it? It's awesome.
Yeah,
It's,
I did.
it's this
Kevin
smoke.
Kevin Smith was real eager about that, I'm sure.
Yeah. So that's your clear winner if you only have to choose one.
Okay, so it sounds like based on this, the Series X is the best console. So
Yes. I
guess we can
have
just pack it in.
yes.
Nothing else to see here.
I have played no quote unquote next gen games yet. I've only played
You are a
PS4 stuff on my
monster.
PS5, and the first thing I'll play is Yakuza on Series X after that. So
I hate you so much.
I know
I'd be playing Spider-Man
I have it,
so hard
but
right now.
I have
I know you
Spider-Man,
do.
but it's
That's the
just
worst part.
I'll get there.
I'm sitting over here playing a 7-year-old Wii U game. You have the future in your hands and you won't even touch it.
Cold Steel
You want to play
4
Cold Steel
demands
4.
completion. I've made it this far. I gotta finish the fight.
You made a mistake starting that so late in the year.
Well, I didn't know that it would like suck me in like it did. When I
You didn't know
started
there'd
it,
be a global pandemic that would keep you inside all the time?
well, I knew that because I started Cold Steel 1 in like August, but
Oh,
but I did not know that it would suck me in and make me play all the old games. So, but I'm almost done. So there you go.
yeah. Well, I'd like you to stream Kingdom Hearts at some point. I just wanted to be on the record so you're held accountable.
It's funny because you're able to stream whenever, but when you start Simple and Clean, it says you cannot stream this. Like pops up. So
Well, can you stream Alice in Wonderland?
yes, all to your
All
heart's
right.
content.
Well,
But they don't want you streaming that sweet Utada music,
yeah, I
just in
bet.
case you haven't heard it before.
Just in case you've never heard of YouTube.
Yeah, your best source for this song that's 20 years old is some loser's Twitch stream of one viewer. Well,
Well,
whatever.
hey, that one viewer is real excited to hear this game.
So, Setzer, you want to get started on some news?
Sure. Well, first things first, as always, it's the Xbox, which, being your chosen new console, was lauded as the largest launch in Xbox history by Phil Spencer on Twitter just the other day.
Well, because the system itself is so large, right?
I'm not surprised it's the largest in history given the global pandemic situation. I think video games are doing incredibly well, so it makes perfect sense. But I do have some qualms with how they approach this, despite how easily I got my console. It seems like a lot of people are having trouble. Like people that pre-ordered it still don't have it. For whatever reason, stores aren't shipping pre-orders, but you can go in person and wait in line and maybe get one, which seems questionable given the state of society right now.
Does this count as concern trolling because you got yours? I'm asking for a friend.
No, I don't really. I
What
mean,
the hell is concern trolling?
Have
when you
you
pretend to
never
care
heard this
about
phrase?
something, or
Yeah, it's when when you're like you're making some kind of argument for something that doesn't actually affect you or anybody. You're just kind of like making it up and feigning concern for someone
well, I'm not
else.
really concerned. I'm just like
Yeah,
saying
you
like
got
it's,
yours. So
yeah,
it's
I
not
got mine.
concern
I don't
trolling, it's
care.
just trolling.
I'm just questioning whether that was a good idea.
For you to get yours
No,
before
for
everybody else?
for the yeah no for retailers to like hold on like to do it the way they did. Like I know like people that I've seen online where people like camped out at Walmart and got one. like which
Oh yeah.
seems like something you
That's
shouldn't be
weird.
doing.
Yeah, I thought they weren't doing that at
Well,
all.
Walmart.com specifically said like you can only like order online, but they didn't stop
Yeah.
people from lining up and stuff. But yeah, I'm not surprised it's the largest in history.
Well,
No
as
launch
they
game.
say, what goes up must come down. Unfortunately, Halo Infinite is looking a little bit down. We discussed these a while back. They're already revving up the marketing tie-ins for this game that doesn't even have a release date. You can buy cookies. You can buy cookies of Oreos and get skins in Halo. Um,
Already?
yeah, and they're referred to as a $5 value. Um, so it's like, $5 for the color purple on your little Spartan man, if you're so inclined. And just a few days after this, blew up in their face, the director left the game, left the project.
Yeah, I'm thinking on one hand I would have loved to have seen Halo Infinite come out like when it was supposed to, just to see what a shit show that would have been. Because at this point it's looking like it would have been a complete disaster. Like the Old Republic debacle would not have been able to touch this. So on one hand, kind of disappointed you didn't get to see that. On the other, I'm not surprised to see him departing. It seems like this is the mess.
The former director, Chris Lee, did say, I have stepped back from Infinite and I am looking for future opportunities. I believe in the team and am
Phew.
confident they will deliver a great game, and now is a good time for me to step away. Um,
This is looking bad.
yeah, that's like some of the most cookie cutter. I'm out. I'm out. I'm washing my hands.
Like I'm done.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah. Do we
exactly.
think do we
If you
think it even makes next fall?
Yes, it
Oh
does.
yeah, it'll
There's
get
no
pushed
way.
out the
Yeah?
door before next fall. It's
You
getting too
think?
big.
Yeah,
Well,
I would
yeah.
guarantee. This is my stone cold guarantee.
This is
Um,
your lead pipe
this is
lock?
my lead pipe lock. You know what to say? If you're right 51% of the time, you're wrong 49% of the time.
Uh,
Yeah, this is like got all the warning signs that like Mass Effect Andromeda had, where it's like this is
Mm-hmm.
going to be a complete train wreck.
I think the game will be weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I
I
think
think it's
weird
still
is the
too
best
early to
word for
say.
it.
Well, yeah, it's different. It'll be. I'm very interested to see what happens with it. That's for
I
sure.
bet the multiplayer will be perfectly acceptable, and the single player will have clear indications that things did not go okay during development.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's funny that they're charging for colors. Like, I remember in Halo 3, like you just make your Spartan and like color 'em whenever you wanted. So
Yeah, and you make your custom icon too.
yeah, Halo 3
That's
was.
always been a
No
big part of
longer.
Halo multiplayer.
I guess colors are now too expensive with this 4K technology.
That's true.
You gotta pay.
I
You gotta
mean,
Yeah.
feed those starving devs.
I'm sorry, did you say 4K? Don't you mean 8K?
Oh, 8K,
The
120.
PlayStation 5 is the world's first 8K console
That's true. That's true.
because of the
Digital
box.
Foundry says that is not true, but we'll let them pretend.
Yeah, but the box says, and the box is huge.
The box is. It is
You
large.
can't print lies on something that big.
You
You
can't
know,
defy
Okay.
the box.
when I was
Yeah.
walking out of Walmart with my PS5, the I heard a
Wait, when
lady.
you were walking on it, do you mean like when you were like riding it out like a carriage?
Yeah, when I was riding out like a carriage, there was a lady behind me that I heard saying like, "Oh, look what he has! Someone spoiled." And I was like, "Oh, it's just for me and my wife, actually."
So, so either they thought you had a kid that you were spoiling,
Or
or they
You're a
thought you
grown
were a
man
kid.
who's
Yeah,
spoiled.
that you were a kid who was spoiled by his parents.
well, I walked into the Walmart with my parents. I was holding their hand and like, "Oh, give me that! Give me PlayStation, mommy."
Yeah, I am a very big boy.
Wearing your Atlas shirt too,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
that's true. So I was like, well, that was so weird because like she wasn't even trying to be quiet about it. I was like, why are you? This
You know
is
what you
so
should have
weird.
done? You should have turned around and said, "I got a Series X at home too."
So I'm not only spoiled, but I'm stupid.
You missed a
Uh,
real opportunity there. If you would have spent less time surfing on your giant PS5 box,
I know
you could
it
have
is
come up with
big.
some of these great little returns.
I know. I'm just a failure.
Do you think you could use that box as a sled here in
Potentially,
our outdoor environment? Yeah?
potentially, yeah.
Okay. I
Um,
think I might
but
try it. Do you keep the box?
I kept both boxes. I still have
All
my
right.
yeah, yeah. So you can go to town on those.
Speaking of Mass Effect Andromeda, the Mass Effect Legendary Edition trilogy was announced. Officially. Not just whispered about, but they've got a teaser trailer, a whole 45 seconds, and everything.
Wow.
Yeah. So it looks like
Wow.
our fear was that they were going to make Mass Effect 1
Bad.
uh, less like Mass Effect 1, but it seems to only be about graphical and technological features.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So Mass Effect 1 will still be good.
All right.
Hopefully. It'll still be
Well,
quirky, we'll say that.
Yes. I feel like this has been like quote unquote rumored for like a decade.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been forever. So this is like the least surprising announcement of all time. I guess what surprised me is that it's last gen, like PS4, Xbox One,
mm,
Mm-hmm.
which is
well,
strange.
I
But
mean, but
well,
you
you take
play those.
80,000 years making this port. You might as well get it
Well,
on
I
the
know,
most
I
recent
get it,
hardware.
but I mean, it is on the most recent hardware.
Yeah. Well, yes, I
It's
guess
just,
since they're backwards compatible.
yeah.
But I mean,
So
you
I
know
think
what I
that's
mean.
probably the reason. They have so many people with PS4s still. Might
True.
as well get them too.
Well, we'll get
Um,
into that later with
aren't we kind of
Cyberpunk.
bearing the lead here with the announcement of Mass Effect 5?
Oh, who cares? That's like 8 years off.
I mean, it's never happening.
Yeah, like I would say, like they got to finish Dragon Age first. Mass Effect has got to be like 6 years out.
That's how long Andromeda took, if you recall, 5, 6 years from
They
Oh,
just
announcement to
keep
release.
they just keep announcing things without having any information. Do you think
well,
they're desperate?
Oh yeah, they're desperate.
definitely. They want to
That was
get.
a rhetorical question.
Yeah, I was gonna say they want to
Obviously,
get
they're
their.
desperate.
They realize their reputation's taken a massive hit and want to
I,
fix that.
I can't imagine, and I don't fault anybody for being excited or whatever. I just can't imagine being excited for these announcements that are just here's the name of a thing, but it's like one, no pictures, no trailers, nothing. It's just the idea of a new Mass Effect. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that plus the idea that the last Mass Effect was not well received. That plus the fact that it's like, I mean, the people who made Mass Effect, not all of them are still there. So it's so weird to me that anybody has anything to say about this other than, all right, yeah, we'll see.
It's pattern recognition, you know.
And to be honest, this should really only the only people that should be interested in this like are Sony owners. Like if you have an Xbox, you can play all the Mass Effect games right now. And
Oh,
if you
well, I'm not
have
talking about the Legendary Edition. That's whatever. I can get
okay,
being excited about that.
oh okay,
I meant the Mass Effect 5.
oh well yeah. I mean, ever since Bethesda came out and said, "Here's Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield," Elder Scrolls 6, which might have like one like 20 seconds of development done on it, and Starfield is just 3 years out. So I think I'm just tired of that sort of thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I am too.
yeah.
And I called that out. Derek, you might remember when Metroid Prime 4 was announced.
You
And I
did.
said, why is anybody excited? There's no picture, there's no video. It's not Retro Studios. It's not the same people who made Metroid Prime.
Well,
So literally, they just said a name and everybody flipped out.
we still don't have anything on that.
We still don't. Now Retro is working on it, but I mean, it's not the same Retro. So no, I just wanted to say I was right. So we can move on.
But yeah, I mean, if you have a Xbox or a PC, you can play Mass Effect right now. And
That's right.
so, but I mean, I guess if you don't have the DLC, there you go, all the DLC for you.
That's
You'll get
true
the
because you have to buy
DLC, the
it.
games will look
On the,
better, they'll run better.
You
Mass
won't
Effect
have
1 does
isn't
not run well on PC.
Mass Effect
isn't
One
the
does run
DLC
well on One X.
isn't the
Just
DLC full price still on those old games? Because
yes,
then you
Yeah.
buy it.
I bought Leviathan full price. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you
Oh
still have to
man.
use BioWare points to
Nope.
buy them?
Nope. I got to use my Xbox dollary dues, which have been translated to real dollars, thankfully, and not just
Well, that
points.
happened a long time ago.
I know, but I mean, back in the day, that's what
Oh,
you.
it's terrible. The greatest thing in the world was defeating that trend. Now,
I
if only
know.
we could get rid of PlayStation's digital wallet, then we'd fully have progressed.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, because on the PlayStation Store, it used to be. I want to say that whenever you bought something, you couldn't just like if the $60 game, you couldn't just like, oh, I'm paying
Oh,
$60. It was
you
like
can
you had
do
to put
that.
money in a wallet. You can now?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess it's been a while since I bought a digital PlayStation
I
game.
think there is a minimum purchase of $5, but I haven't bought anything under $5 in a while, so I don't know.
I mean, yeah,
I
I
don't buy a
guess.
lot of cosmetics, so
No?
no. I waste my money
Okay.
on consoles, not cosmetics.
Speaking of games that are taking a dog's age to get out the door, Cyberpunk 2077 delayed once again to December 10th due to Xbox One and PS4 optimization problems.
Well, when the delay happened, it was for 1 month, which I believe I said what I felt was probably because of like it failed to meet some quality standard, and the fact that it's delayed to optimize PS4 and Xbox One seems to agree with that thought because it probably just doesn't run that well on those.
One thinks maybe they should have never announced it for those systems.
Uh, no.
Well, 8 years ago when the game was first announced,
I know.
PS5 and the
Yeah,
Series
it's
X,
true.
just a twinkle in the eyes.
It's true. But I remember when the game first started showing up outside of boardrooms and people were like, is this really going to work on PS4 and Xbox? And that was always the chatter.
I'm very curious to see how these run on those. I imagine not well. Um,
Yeah, I picture it being like what was it, Dragon Age, which was cross-gen, or um, MGS5, which was cross-gen, just
oh,
being
true. You had the pointy helmets
demonstrably
on PS3.
lesser. Yeah, demonstrably lesser in different ways.
Yeah, but I mean, they were still playable.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be playable, but I mean, the people who really care about this game probably wouldn't be happy with those versions.
Well, yeah. Um, I assume they've got a new console, or we'll just play on PC as God intended.
Yes, I would say the people who are really into those kind of is into CD Project games probably are set up
Yes.
for whatever.
And have been for a long time.
Yes, because they have a PC.
Hmm.
I doubt the people that saw Witcher on Netflix are going to hop to Cyberpunk. Like, I'm sure sure this will be nothing.
Well, in light of their obligation to release certain financial information, Activision Blizzard has been making some changes to Blizzard. They say they'll need to hire 2,000 new developers to meet demand after Shadowlands has become the most pre ordered WoW expansion in history.
That's very surprising to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought WoW was on the downtrend on the way out, but I guess this pandemic probably made people play WoW and try MMOs again. So I guess that's my guess as to why this happened.
Well, it should be noted that most of the new development force probably will not be going to traditional games like WoW or Diablo and StarCraft as we know them, because Activision Blizzard also announced that more Blizzard franchises are going to be coming to mobile
So
in
is
the
this
near
some sort
future.
of out of season April Fool's joke? I mean,
I don't think so this time. Not this time.
I think it is fine for franchises to come to mobile as long as it's not like interfering with those franchises elsewhere. So if you've got like some shitter studio working on like a mobile StarCraft, if as long as it's not like preventing StarCraft 3 from existing, I don't really care, I guess. I'm never going to engage with them because I think mobile gaming is very scummy, but
Did that Diablo game ever come out? That mobile one that caused all that?
I don't know, did it?
Not yet. It's listed as
No? Okay.
upcoming.
Okay.
Oh no. It was an out of season April Fool's joke.
Well, what do we think? Lost Vikings mobile?
StarCraft mobile. Get it the Command and Conquer treatment.
Rad Racer mobile?
Heroes of the Storm mobile.
Well, I remember when Bethesda
Yeah.
announced Commander Keen mobile, and they ended up canceling that. So long dead franchises being made mobile. You never know. May just die before it comes out. Stillbirth.
I mean, they were changing it. It wasn't anything like Commander Keen.
No,
It was just a
no.
mobile gotcha
Just
game,
mobile, yeah.
like Kingdom Hearts Melody of Miscellanea.
No, Melody of Memories.
I'll never remember that.
It's too complicated.
So you can't have two games in the same series that have memories in the subtitle. Now, come on. Chain of Memories, a Melody of Memories. Anything else that we memorize?
Dream of Memories.
I hate Kingdom Hearts. I hate it so much. I can't quit it. That's why I hate it the most.
Well, we all know mobile games are notorious for their microtransactions, right?
Hmm.
And that's had a big impact on console and PC games lately over the past few years. But people are starting to take a little notice. In the Netherlands, FIFA Ultimate Team loot boxes were officially declared to be gambling. And moreover, EA is facing fines for every week that they refuse to change the system.
Whoa.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
um, I mean, first of all, it serves them right because they've had plenty of warning that this was going to go down. Like, plenty. We're talking years and years. So they could find them in perpetuity for all I care. They've been given enough warning to change things. But I also don't like governments getting involved in my video games. So I just hate that it got to this point.
yeah, it's a shame that someone had to step in, but I think we're at the point where someone needs to step in.
Someone
And
needs to.
I'm anxious to see if maybe similar legislation will come to the US.
I don't know. It's a complicated question. Part of me says no. They're big American companies and they've got powerful lobbyers. We'll see.
Yeah, the cynic in me says no, but the optimist in me wants to say yes.
That would be nice. I mean, last time there was a big threat of the U.S. government cracking down on games, the industry got its shit together with the ESRB. So maybe if like it's like the 0 hour and things are at its darkest, things will like sort out. But
Yeah, I'm fearful. Those were very different times,
they were
and
very
those were
different
very
times.
different companies at the heart of it. Obviously, those companies were profit driven. I mean, I'm not going to pretend they weren't, but I don't think any of them were quite like Activision or EA.
Well, no, they were profit driven, but they also realized that getting the government involved in your industry is not a good idea. We'll see if the current bigwigs will have that same mentality.
Yeah, I hope so. It'd be nice to like sports games again, and it would
Ugh,
help
I
if
know.
things
That's
like this were, you know,
wasn't it nice just
moderated.
like on the Xbox days just to buy a sports game and be able to play everything and not
I
have to
was
worry
I was
about.
thinking about this earlier. Sports games used to just be video games. Like people who played video games also played sports games, but we weren't big sports fans growing up, but we still played Madden and we still played, a lot of the different sports games that came along, and a lot of people did. I mean, look at some of those old Penny Arcade comics where they had
Yeah.
Dreamcast sports games. And they weren't sports fans back in the day.
No.
That was how it worked.
And
But
I would
now
say
it's
the
like,
sports games made us like more interested in actual
right,
sports.
exactly. But now it's like those are two separate worlds. Like you are either a sports game player or you play video games. Like I don't really play any of them anymore. And they used to be one of my favorite, yearly releases.
They're just like giant money
Yeah, they're
bags.
just big casinos, and if you're not into that, there's nothing there for you.
Well, the only one I still play is MLB The Show, and it just becomes more transparent every year. The real purpose of that game, what they really want you to do is spend like money on microtransactions. But
Right.
so it sucks. So it would be nice.
Yeah, it'd be nice to fix sports games.
Let's do it. Make
Yeah, let's you and me. How about
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Let's make a sports game.
Let's get the
Blitzball.
license. Let's get the
Blitzball
license.
the league.
Yeah, we're overdue for a blitzball game. Blitzball, or a new
I,
Quidditch.
we've been beating this drum for 20 years.
Yeah, EA Sports Blitzball. Back in the day, that was the hot Photoshop of the time. Now it's just Among Us shit posting. It's the worst.
EA Sports, it's in the sphere.
But Waka would be canceled in this modern day, so
Remember that time Waka tries to make Riku feel better about her people being genocided?
it's like happy festival fireworks, yeah. uh,
I love Final Fantasy X.
it's a it's a great game for many
The
reasons.
game that keeps on giving.
The times they are changing not just with legislation, but also with our good friend GameStop. Ars Technica writes that Microsoft is going to piteously drop some of the digital revenue from Xbox consoles sold by GameStop into GameStop's Change Cup after passing them on the street one too many times. Have you seen anything like this before?
No, it's very interesting. Um, it's like they're doing them a charity.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Like, we understand that people are going digital. We'll try to help you stay in business a little while longer. Or putting off that sword of Damocles slashing down on you. Of all companies to try to save, GameStop.
And Microsoft doing it too.
Yeah, I know. It's strange. They're the ones that started this mess.
Yeah, Microsoft has always been all about, digital right over, physical ownership.
Yeah. So it's strange, but I don't understand why GameStop desperately needs to stay in business. So I guess that's nice of them.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see whether it's enough to stop the bleeding, but
It's not.
yeah, I'm
like
I'm not optimistic.
like that company's been on its deathbed since
Yeah.
PS4 came out
When's the last time you were in a GameStop?
yesterday. But
Oh.
but that's neither here nor
You're the
there.
wrong person to ask. I'm sorry. Setzer, when's the last time you were in a GameStop?
I don't even remember.
Was it that time we went on Black Friday? Like 3 years ago?
No, I've gone once since then to pick up Nier Automata. But
Okay.
other than that, I don't think I have.
Yeah. I think I bought my Xbox One S there, but yeah, that's all that's ever brought me back in there.
Well, GameStop isn't the only company hard hit this year, or these last few years perhaps. Sega's parent company, Sega Sammy Holdings, announced a $206.7 million loss in their mid-year financial report, according to Sora News 24. They asked 650 employees to volunteer to quit and sold off nearly all of the arcades that they manage in Japan. So it's really not looking good for Sega. They even slashed executive salaries by 30% for the next 5 months.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like asking people to voluntarily leave, and I imagine a hard time to find a job would be a lot to ask. So I think things are not looking too good. I would say since they're cutting their arcade losses, I assume arcades is where their majority of losses is coming from. So maybe once those are closed down, things will brighten up a little bit. Because it seems like every other video game publisher is having a banner year. So it sucks for Sega because they're the best one and they're having a bad year.
You said it again, this time live.
Well, I wanted to make sure it got in because it's true.
I, how many copies of Yakuza Like a Dragon does Derek have to buy to save Sega?
I've already got one. I'll buy more.
Okay, I'll hold you to that.
Yeah, they're the
It's a shame.
best.
That's the arcade thing is real sad. That's the, I
Well,
think Derek and I both have quite the history with Sega arcade experiences, so it's a bit of a bummer.
the good news is the arcades aren't closing entirely, they've just been sold to another company called Ginda.
So they still exist. It's just hard for me to picture the arcade. I'm surprised it's still hanging in there. I know it was alive in Japan, but I imagine like little small rooms like that where it's impossible to social distance would be a hard proposition.
Yeah, I would assume Ginda must plan to shut them down temporarily or something.
Oh yeah,
I can't imagine trying to run something like that these days.
it would be tough. I would, but hopefully, whenever this ends in 20 years, we can people can go back to the arcades because it's sad that they're kind of not a thing in America, but I would hate for them to go out of style everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they've even been seeing a bit of a resurgence here in America too, but COVID's definitely put the brakes on that.
Stuff like Dave and Buster's and uh, adult arcade experiences. Is that what you
Yeah,
mean?
the barcade thing.
Yeah, those are
Yeah.
All the
cool.
barcades. Adult arcade has a very different implication.
Oh well,
Freudian slip there.
Yeah, that's right.
well we got a beat 'em and eat 'em cabinet, Custer's Revenge,
What
like all
more do you
these.
need? Plumbers don't wear ties.
Oh yeah, of course. We got the AVGN review of it running on repeat.
Well, also coming out of Japan, Astrus Advisory Japan predicts a $60 million loss for Square Enix on Marvel's Avengers. And this is coming after Steam charts shows 96% of the PC player base has already quit the game.
All right, gentlemen, let's hear it.
You were right. I thought they got
Thank you.
theirs, and that was it.
Thank you.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
They apparently
No,
did not get theirs.
they did not. You know, I take no joy in this victory.
If you look at the number of people that play this on Steam, it's pretty pathetic. It's like 300 concurrent players.
Oh, it
It's
follows the trend of every other games as a service game made by a AAA studio, which is it launches with no content.
well, this because they're
And
chasing the Destiny dragon.
right, right, and it launches with no content, and they expect people to just stick around, and that works for it worked out for Fallout because you have people who are just committed to that name and what it represents for video games, and people stick around for Destiny because of Bungie. But I just don't think, I mean, Avengers is obviously a big movie IP,
Right.
but I don't think that IP in games alone is enough to keep those same people sticking by it.
I think the idea was to bring in all those movie viewers to the game,
Right.
and you can
And I,
definitely get them to check it out, but
yeah,
you're not going to get them to come back because they're like their experience is over. Why would they go back?
well,
So
my opinion on this was, and I think I've been backed up by the data, is that I knew this would sell decently okay because, I think there are plenty of comic book fans who play video games, but you get that Avengers IP because you want all the people who watch those movies, and a lot of those people who watch those movies are not necessarily the type of people who are going to pick up a video game based on it. That is basically like a family movie at this point. Like I know local people who are not nerds, do not play video games, don't care about comic books at all, but they would invite us to go as a family to see the new Avengers movies. And
oh
those
no.
people were not going to buy into this, which meant that you were only going to have, your typical enthusiast gamers, and they were going to come in, get what they got out of Avengers, and there wasn't much else to see, so they just kind of abandoned it. And I don't think, I haven't played the game, but I don't think there's really been a reason to come back. So it's really not surprising that they've bled 96% of their audience.
Well, it's just weird because I remember this game was hyped up for years. Like Square is
Well,
working
right.
on this, and it's going to be like the big AAA Avengers game, and it's going to
Well, I think that worked to its disadvantage too.
well, yeah,
I
because
think
well, when it debuted, it looked like shit. So
right. So it had like that weird impact of like, oh wow, this is all that they've been working on for all this time. Every detail about it, people got more and more like anxious. Like,
if it had like
I
come
don't
out
know.
like looking like an actual $60 game and not like a bargain bin free to play junk fest or whatever, I think it
Yeah.
probably would have been fine. But
Can I ask a question I know the answer to?
yeah, go for it.
Why don't any of these AAA studios that make these games as a service games that always launch like this, I mean always, every single time, why don't they start free to play?
Well, I think that these games are very, very demanding to develop. Um,
Yeah, I know that's the real
they
reason. I get that.
cost a lot of money just to develop the technology behind them, and a lot of money to develop the design that powers the game, and a lot of money to create the art assets, the music, the voice acting, da 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 da. I mean, when you look at them, right? Any one aspect of this game could be the crux of a full game. You know, you have MMO features. Okay, that's World of Warcraft. That's an entire game. You have action gameplay. That's Devil May Cry. You know, that's an entire game. You have an open world. Okay, that's Horizon or Skyrim or whatever, right? Those are entire games. And when you try to put it all together, I mean that's like tackling 5 games at once. And when you do that, you spend that money. You know, I guarantee you every suit controlling the purse strings wants a return on investment
For sure.
ASAP to justify
Yeah,
that.
I know that's the reason, but I just can't help but think with something like this or say Anthem, these games that come out with no content for $60, a lot of the blowback and the reaction that's negative, a lot of it is because you're paying $60 for what is like a shell of a product,
Right.
and then you have bad word of mouth, and then everybody abandons ship. But if you launched for free to play, like Anthem, you launch and people come in, and they go, okay,
Like
all
it's
right, this
shitty
is
now,
kind
but
of
it might get better.
okay. Yeah, like I didn't pay anything for it, so I guess this is kind of cool. Maybe I'll dabble with it, and maybe in a few months they'll have some more content, and I'll come back and maybe I'll toss a little tip in the tip jar. I just, I, I feel like that's the missing ingredient that could make one of these games at least start without being a train wreck.
I really have to disagree, actually. I think
Yeah,
that
that's
free
fair.
to play, like you said, these games are they're shells of games, right? When you sell that, when you sell a sham product, everybody knows that it's not what you're hyping up, right? Everybody knows it's not going to meet expectations. Everybody knows it's not going to be what people are anticipating. They're looking to get in, get the money, and get out. Free to play, on the other hand, nobody is going to buy skins for a shitty free to play game, you know, and then they're not going to make any money. They're going to have, what, $30 million hole as opposed to, say, a $10 million hole.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's fair.
agree, but the people who played this game, I've heard a lot of people say that they actually do like the way it plays. It's just that there's nothing there. So I wonder if something like this, a superhero game especially, let's say, just let's be real devious. Oh, it launches. Oh, you can play as Iron Man for free, but if you want to play as Hulk, that's going to be another $5. I think there could be something here, but I mean, I could also see it being a train wreck. What I really want to know is this going to be the kind of game in 2 years that has one of those annoying redemption arc stories where they make it finally a complete game and people act like it's, totally revolutionized itself?
No, too many people are out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably dead too. I think it's like Anthem. I think it's on the mat and I don't think it's getting back up.
But to be fair to what Cheston was saying, though, like I do think he has a point. Like if you look at like the big hit games of this year in recent memory, all of them are free to play or very cheap or launch free at least. Like Fall Guys launch free, Among Us like $5, Genshin Impact free, Fortnite free.
Yeah, but none of those games are total technical disasters.
No, they're not. But I mean, I'm saying. But if you like start your game out and plan for it to be free to play, like Avengers should have like that should have been the plan all along. But I mean, I don't know. That's like Captain Hindsight. So
It's way too complex for any of us to speculate on what would or wouldn't happen. But
That's
I
not going to
think
stop
that the
us.
conventional wisdom is, yeah, it's gonna be a bad game. Just get the $60 off of as many people as you can, and then
then go
you
free
know
to play.
pump it and dump it, right?
Yeah.
But speaking of trying to sell these lifestyle, quote unquote, lifestyle games, Destiny 2, new expansion, same old bungle. $45 for Beyond
Oof.
Shite. They're charging, and then you have to buy the season pass on top of that. And I didn't buy it.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah. A buddy of mine, he bought it. I watched him stream for a little bit, and I thought, you know what? I can do without this.
How does it feel to be free?
It feels nice. I'll say that, maybe if Bungie pulls a rabbit out of their hat and makes it into a good expansion that's worth my money, or if it goes on a really good sale, yeah, I might pick it up down the road, but as it stands, they didn't introduce much new content. They removed over half the content of the game, close to two-thirds of the content. And they introduced this system where it's kind of like, you remember item level in WoW, right?
Item what? Levels?
Item level?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So every piece of gear has a numerical score, like a level,
Oh, right.
and those
Actually, I do.
scores are averaged together to get your item
Yeah.
level.
Yeah. It ruined Wrath of the Lich King meta play.
Destiny has always had a similar system, light level in the first game, and now called power level. But power level is really complex in how it affects the gameplay in a lot of ways that I don't think a lot of players understand. And they introduced this system where certain gear will never be able to be increased beyond a light level ceiling, right? It's called sunsetting. This gear is obsolete, and it may be your favorite gun to play with in the game, but you can't use it anymore. It's taking up space in your inventory, but it's effectively worthless, right? They sunset 75% of the weapons in the game, and they added 5% more new weapons that you can get, right? So there's huge gaps in the arsenal, which means huge gaps in the gameplay, and they're just kind of blithely bungling along, like, oh, we'll just wait till the season. It introduces a whole 5 new guns, but that's really not getting me. It's not drawing me in. I don't like it when they tell me like, you're having fun with this game. That's a problem for us to solve. You know what I mean?
You're not having fun in the way we designed.
Not even that. They put those guns in the game. The franchise director, Luke Smith, he posted a design article a while back when he first announced the sunsetting, saying that he was talking to some friends of his that really enjoy a gun they had released, I think like a year and a half ago, prior to the writing. And they were really having fun with it. They loved it. It was their favorite gun in the game. And he blithely just said, that's a problem. It's like having fun, having a favorite is a problem for them to solve.
That's
It's
so
I
just
heard they
asinine.
I heard they brought the loot cave back, but they did it wrong.
They brought the Cosmodrome map back, and they didn't really change too much. But as far as the loot cave goes, it's not really giving you. It's not giving you the loot that it was famous for.
I wish I had as much contempt for my followers as Bungie does.
I know, it's fascinating. Or they, when the expansion released, there was a certain item for sale by a new vendor, right? And they actually removed it from the store and said, oh yeah, we intend to reuse that item from last year in this year's holiday event. So we can't just let you buy it. You have to earn it. Again.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it's non-stop with these guys. I don't know what it is.
An abusive relationship.
Yeah, yeah. Phil, if you're listening to this, nice pay pig emblem, by the way.
What?
So that'll do it for us this week. You can reach us on Twitter at alltodaypod or on email at alltodaypodcast@gmail.com. This is Derek.
I'm Setzer.
And this is Cheston.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Adios.